If you follow any winter sports, you know the rivalry between Norway and Sweden is legendary. It's fierce, it's fun, and it's a huge deal for national pride. But there's another race happening right now, one that's a lot more serious than any ski slope showdown.
And this quote, man, it just nails it. While everyone's focused on the sports, a huge economic gap is opening up between them. And for Norway, this isn't some game they can afford to lose. It's a massive wake-up call.
So that really sets the stage for what we're talking about today. We're going to look past the friendly jabs and the ski poles and dive deep into the high-stakes race for innovation, for capital, and for who's going to own the industries of the future. All right, let's get into it. We have to start with this genuine puzzle, what you might call the Nordic paradox. How on earth can a country with the biggest sovereign wealth fund in the world, a nation praised for being so smart with its money, be falling behind its neighbor who doesn't have nearly the same resources? I mean, just look at this number. Let that sink in for a second. That's the size of Norway's government pension fund, their famous oil fund. It is an absolutely staggering amount of wealth, built up over decades from their oil and gas. This fund is pretty much the bedrock of Norway's incredible prosperity. And this is the real kicker. Norway has become a master at managing the wealth it's already got in the bank, but that success has been hiding a growing problem. While Norway has been focused on its past riches, Sweden, out of pure necessity, has been laser-focused on building a dynamic, forward-looking economy. So how in the world did this happen? Well, to really get it, you have to look at how each country's economic reality has totally shaped its culture, its policies, and even its willingness to take risks. It's a classic tale, really, comfort versus necessity. You've got these two neighbors, and they went down completely different roads. On one side, you have Norway, where the entire economy is basically sitting on this huge, comfortable cushion of oil money. And on the other side, you have Sweden. No cushion. So they had to build an engine, a powerful innovation engine from scratch, just to compete.
So let's break down what that oil cushion really means. Oil and gas make up about a quarter of Norway's entire economy. That massive fund provides this incredible safety net, paying for everything from high wages to one of the world's most generous welfare systems. But the result? Well, it's created what some economists call golden handcuffs. Things are so comfortable, so secure, that the urgency to change and the appetite for taking big risks just isn't there.
Now, this comfort creates a subtle but really serious economic issue. You've probably heard of Dutch disease. Norway famously avoided the classic version by being smart and investing its oil money overseas, but now it's facing this kind of slow-motion version, where the high wages and costs from the oil boom are slowly but surely making every other part of its economy less competitive on the global stage.
Okay, so now let's flip the coin and look at Sweden. It's a totally different picture. With no oil money to fall back on, Sweden had no choice but to diversify. Their success is built on this really cool idea called the triple helix model. It's basically this deep, systematic partnership between universities, private industry, and the government, all pulling in the same direction. And the result is a vibrant, tough, knowledge-based economy built not on comfort, but on sheer necessity.
So you've got these different economic cultures, right? But what's really pouring gasoline on this fire is a critical difference in policy. And it might just be the single biggest thing driving these two nations apart right now, how they tax capital. And this is where things get really interesting. Norway is literally the only country in Scandinavia that still has a recurring annual wealth tax. And here's the crazy part. It's a tax on the paper value of a private company, whether that company is even making a profit or not. This puts a unique, compounding burden on the exact people trying to build the next generation of businesses. So let me walk you through how this triple taxation squeeze actually works, because it's kind of wild. First, a company makes a profit and pays corporate tax on it. Simple enough. But then the money that's left over increases the company's value on paper, and that triggers a personal wealth tax bill for the owner. So to pay that tax, the owner has to pull money out of their own company as a dividend, which then gets taxed again at a super high rate. It's a system that just actively drains cash out of growing businesses.
Now, when you put these policies side by side, wow, the contrast is just staggering. Look at Sweden. They got rid of their wealth tax way back in 2007. Their dividend tax is lower. And get this, Norway has also brought in a permanent exit tax, making it really hard for entrepreneurs to leave, while Sweden has nothing like that at all. The choices they've made could not be more different.
All right, so we've talked culture, we've talked policy, but what about the results? Let's look at the hard data, because this is where the story really hits home.
Here it is, the scoreboard. According to the 2024 Global Innovation Index, Sweden is ranked second in the entire world. Norway? It's down at 21st. That's not just a small gap, my friends. That is a chasm. It shows one country is at the absolute peak of its game, while the other is seriously struggling to keep up.
And here's the really frustrating part for Norway. It's not for a lack of trying. The data shows Norway actually ranks pretty well, 16th, on innovation inputs, things like institutions and investment. But when it comes to innovation outputs, the actual commercial results, they plummet to 26th. Sweden, on the other hand, crushes it at both. It's like Norway is buying all the best ingredients, but they just can't seem to bake the cake.
So what happens when your country's policies seem to penalize success? Well, the people who create that success, they start to leave. In just the last few years, over 100 of Norway's top taxpayers, we're talking the entrepreneurs and investors who built companies, have packed up and moved abroad.
And they're not just taking themselves, they're taking their capital with them. A mind-boggling £15 billion has flowed out of Norway in just the last 4 years. This isn't just a few wealthy people. This is a serious flight of the exact private capital Norway desperately needs to build its post-oil future.
So this brings us to the finish line. We've seen the paradox, we've seen the policies, and we've seen the performance. So what does it all mean for the future?
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? The big challenge for Norway isn't about protecting its oil money anymore. The real test is shifting its entire mindset to creating the new companies and the new jobs that will power its economy for the next 100 years. And that brings us right back to where we started, to that central paradox. Norway's greatest strength, its incredible wealth, has also become its biggest weakness. That financial cushion keeps the country comfortable, sure, but it also shields it from the burning urgency it needs to make the tough changes to compete in the future.
Which leaves us with one final, really provocative question. It's a question that Norway has to answer, not on the ski slopes, but in the global race for the future. Can a nation actually be too rich to innovate?